Right. So, sorry about that. Good. Well, welcome to our Sales Mastery Workshop. I know there's a few of you that have done a few of these now, a few coming back for a bit of repeat, which is always good because there's different things to pick up as we go through. But for those that haven't sort of seen what we cover, we have 6 mastery workshops in the series. They range from self-mastery, time management, through finance, marketing. Obviously today is sales, and then we go into customer and team. And you know, sales, as we say here, is all about conversion. So today is not about lead generation. That's what we do in the marketing. This is what happens once we've got a lead. Yeah, what do we then do with it? How do we convert that lead into a sale? Okay, so it's very much focused from a sales perspective. So before we kick off, what I'd like to sort of know from you is, what is one thing you would like to get out of today? So, you know, I know some of you are totally focused on sales, but most of you, sales is just part of what you actually do. So if you can just type in the chat box there, you know, just one thing you'd like to get out, just so I can make sure that we cover that. So want to target a new market. Again, marketing is about getting the lead in. This is actually bringing a new piece of business in. So if you've gone to a new market, how do I convert that, as opposed to how do I go and find them? So refresher on the sales principles, good. We'll certainly cover that. So convert, yeah, selling to your new market is definitely we can do. Any others? Sell to new customers, yeah, good. Anything specific, you know, if there's anything, you know, around selling, you know, I suppose where's your weakness? Where do you feel least comfortable? Tweaking sales if they're not working. Can you be a bit more specific, Lee? So closing the sale? It's good. Any others? Qualifying. Okay. So how do we qualify them out of the process? Yep, we can cover a bit of that. Customers understand. Okay, so communication side of things, getting across the USP. Yeah, that's good. Any others? Yeah. So different people have different personalities. Excellent. Good. We're definitely going to be covering that one. And sustaining momentum in a sale. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully you'll see what we can do with that. If any of these I don't cover, or as we go through you see what I'm talking about is relevant to that, please just sort of stop me and we can talk in more detail. So I think that's pretty much everybody. If anyone's not replied there, good. So keep those in mind, you know, and make sure by the time we come to the end of this, if we haven't covered it, you can just ask me at the end or as we go through, to make sure I do actually cover it all. So what we've got to understand is sales and conversion is just one part of this process. You know, the 5 ways here is, you know, marketing is about bringing the leads in. We then convert those leads because our customers. Then we've got our sort of account management, which is about keeping in contact with our existing clients, which is our number of transactions, average transaction value, and all of those 4 together drive our revenues, and then the margin drives our profitability. And I've been working with a couple of clients recently, and I was writing a couple of chapters in my new book. And one of the questions was, what is the purpose of business? What are we trying to achieve in business? And the way I sort of came up with it is business is about creating value to our customers profitably. That's the game. How do I create value to my customers and make money at the same time? And sales is really that process of convincing people that we can actually add value to them. How are we creating value to them whilst, from our own perspective, to ensure this works, that we actually drive profit to the bottom line? And not always work together. Sometimes if we want to sell more, we're more likely to oversell. If they don't want to sell that much, then we'll get objections and things like that come up. Okay, so we've got to understand it's a bit of a game that we're playing with the other, with the opponent being the customer, in a win-win situation. So if we see sales as being a conversion, then I start every mastery workshop with this formula, so you should get to know and love it as much as I do. Be, who do I need to be? What do I need to do? Equals what do I need to have? So this is our dreams and goals, attitude, knowledge and skills, and the plan and action. So out of those three, which one is the most important? Just unmute yourself if you've got an answer.
Goal.
The goal to have. Yeah, because I was with a client this afternoon, and he was feeling a little bit down, a bit flat. He's got a few big tasks to do, and I said, he said, "Oh, I don't know. I'm sort of comfortable where I am. I don't know. I'm not really pushing myself." And so I said, "Well, what's the goal? What do you want to achieve?" And he said, "Well, I don't really know." I said, "Well, that's why you're feeling as you are, because if you don't know where you're going to go, how do you know who you need to be or what you need to do?" So this one is the most important. So when we come to sales, we've got to be really clear, what is our sales goal? What do we want to achieve? Because if we're not clear what our sales goal is, then how do we know who we need to be or what we need to do within sales? And the same is true for marketing, for building teams. It doesn't matter what it is, but in a sales context, this is what we're trying to achieve here. So what I want you to just, again, put in the chat box is, what is your sales goal? So in the next year or next 3 months, whichever, give me a time frame and a goal for your sales. So just type that in. So what is your sales goal?
Sorry, Ken, would this be different to, because obviously we've got marketing goals in place. So would this be the same as marketing goals, or to convert, or is it specifically the monetary value at the end of it?
It's up to you, Neil. What's your goal? This is what I want to test. I want to test what it is, and we'll have a review. So when I say, what is your sales goal, I'm going to explain what it should be in a minute, but I want to know what it is for you when I say that right now. Okay, cool. That's nice and specific, Harriet. 228 bums on seats, 2.2 million this period. Good. Up my conversion rate by 10% over the next year. Good. So that's nice and specific. Yeah. So beat the 1 million goal. Good. So we got a few that are sales numbers, so what I would call turnover related, a few that are a little bit more sort of into specifics around that. So converting more leads to triple turnover per month. Okay, so reasonably specific on that. Any others? Who are we missing? Dan. 160k turnover. Good. So we're back to the numbers side of it. So those are all, I would say, they're pretty good goals. You know, a lot of you are specific enough. You know, there's no fluffy goals in there like I want more sales. Probably the least one is the triple turnover per month. You know, I'd still be putting that as a definable figure. Okay, so the more specific it can be, the better. So, but I want to show you that even at that level, that's still not the right amount of detail that we need. Because as Neil alluded to, you know, we've got marketing goals in there, yet we've got sales goals. And if you remember back to the 5 ways, there are existing client goals as well. So little example is to say, you know, 2019 we did 2.6 million sales, 290,000, 2.2, 380. If I start thinking, well, what's my goal for turnover and profit here? What happens is I start to say, oh, perhaps I'll add 10% to this. Yeah, I'll add a little bit to this figure here. Because from the information I've got here, that's the only judgment I can actually make. Because what we need to do is we need to understand how this is all made up. So we need to break it down into its detail. Now, hopefully you can see this on the screen. It's not too small for you. But we need to know how many existing clients have I got and how many new clients am I going to add in the year? How many active clients have I got? What's my average transaction value? How often do people repeat order from me? Therefore, all of these figures are important to come up to my sales. Then I can work out my gross profit, my overheads, and my net profit. So I need to break down how the business comes into my business into its component parts, because it's not just a sales goal of 2.2 million. Yeah, it's a goal of specific areas of the business that are going to generate this. Now, it might be down to I've got 10 products that I sell. And each of those products, I need to put a sales budget and a target for each of those. So it's really important before we can even start setting goals around sales, we've got to understand how the game that we're playing is actually played. What makes up that sales figure into its component parts. Then we can look at improving each one of these. So once we've broken sales down into its components, then we can build it up. So then we can say, right, for existing customers, you know, I want to add 200 new customers in the year. Maybe I want to delete some of the old customers out. There's no point in marketing to these people because they're dead, they've gone. That gives me sort of my active clients I want to increase by doing 2 strategies here. My average transaction value repeat orders is what I'm going to push here, which is going to grow my sales to 5.4 million. And actually, if I can increase my GP as well, actually, I can see here that I've actually doubled the gross profit. If I can reduce my overheads, then I can actually increase my net profit by 5 times. So if I'd gone back and set my goal back here and just said, oh, I'm going to increase this by 10%, what would I ended up with? Probably 500,000 profit and 4 million turnover at best. But if I break it down into its component parts and build it up again, I can actually see, well, what I could achieve is pretty amazing. Okay, what I could achieve can be far more than you ever thought was possible once you break it down. Now, how do we do that? That's what we've then got to look at and get into the detail of things. But the fundamentals before we even start thinking about improving our sales is, right, I've got to understand how the game is played, how we score this, how we're going to measure it as we go through. So we've got to start thinking, rather than setting our sales goal as 200,000, this number, that number. It's really break it right down into how much do I want from my existing clients? How much am I going to get for new clients? What's my average transaction? How many leads? Now, I know this relates to marketing, and repeat business relates to customer service, so those are in those two. But if we don't know these numbers, then we're setting the wrong target for our sales. Okay, we're either setting ourselves too big a target, which we'll never achieve through new business, or too small a target, or we'll actually just focus in the wrong place. So it's really important for us to really understand what we're actually aiming for before we start thinking about how we're actually going to deliver it. So are there any questions around how we set our sales targets? Does that?
So Kevin, just so I'm clear, it's obviously because we've done the marketing side and we've generated marketing goals.
Yeah.
Marketing goals helps us obviously work out what that extra revenue that will bring in. So therefore, the sales goal, I suppose, is also linked to the marketing goal as well, isn't it?
They're all linked. Yeah, they're all so sales goals, marketing goals, business, customer mastery, they're all linked in.
Yeah.
But if we're thinking about, where I'm coming from here is sales of converting new business, I'm actually looking at quite a narrow part of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really to get you to think about, when you set the goal, be clear what you're setting the goal for. We should have marketing goals to start the ball off, to generate the leads, conversion goals, but then we've got account management and customer retention goals. And all of these things together we're playing different games, therefore we've got different scoring systems and different measurements. Rather than, when most people come into this, they just think, I've got to increase my sales by 10%. It just doesn't make any sense. It's an irrelevant figure. Yeah, it's the result of a number of strategies, a number of areas that actually would get you that 10%. But the biggest risk, and I see this all the time, generally with bigger businesses, when I go in and say, right, what's the target? And they say, we want to increase sales by 10%. I go, well, why? Why did you come up with 10%? And you break it down into these individual bits, and you'll see that actually what happens is you then go into problem solving mode, and you start asking, right, great, well, I could do that. The market will allow me to do that. How do I actually achieve it? And then we've got to work on the strategies of actually making that happen. So when we look at this, the key to any goal once we've done it is we've got to set it as a SMART goal. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, in a time frame, and it's got to be inspiring and emotional. And it must be, to my mind, if you set your own goal, you must be capable of achieving it. You must have the ability and the power to deliver on that. If you're only ever converting leads that are generated for you, then some of your power to achieve your goal is not in your hands. It's down to the marketing team generating the leads. So if that's the case, your goal is then to maximize conversion rate and average transaction value. Those are the ones you'll probably be focusing on. Okay, so as the doers, we've got to be clear what we're holding ourselves accountable for. If we're managing other people, we've got to make sure we're holding them accountable for the right things that are in their control. Because if we start pushing people where things are not in their control, then we have problems. So once we're clear what the goal is and what we're after, then we need to work on our internal beliefs. So what do we believe to be true? Okay, so a belief is something we hold to be true. So I know some of us here are, I would say, professional salespeople, but I think the majority of people, would you put your hand up and say you're a professionally trained salesperson? Okay, no. So when I say sort of sales, yeah, there will be a certain set of beliefs when I say salesman or salesperson that come to mind. Okay, so just in the chat box, just write down a few things when I say, you know, salesperson, salesman, saleswoman, that that jumps out at you. Okay, door to door. Yeah, annoying phone call. Selling me something I don't need. Yeah. Pushy, yeah. Cool. Scripted. Fancy suit with a 200 haircut. Inexperienced. So I've just asked you to put your beliefs down. There's not one positive belief there, is there?
I was about to say, are we putting down what each person should be, or what?
I just said beliefs. What are your beliefs around salespeople?
Oh, right. Okay.
And you've just even the professional salespeople have sometimes handsome. That's better, Harriet. Well done. So, but a lot of people, you know, when we say sales, it's the negative things that come to mind. And as soon as you start thinking negative things about anything, then that's what you're going to get. Okay, it's going to prevent you from being the best you can. So we've got to understand that, you know, for those of us that haven't been doing sales for a number of years and trained and invested a lot of time and effort in ourselves, that we sometimes look at it and say, you know, our sales skills, are we born with them? Are they born salespeople, or are they learned skills? Okay, so do you think we are born with the ability to sell, or do you think that they're learned over a period of time? What do you think? Just unmute yourself for a second if you.
Born with it.
Born with it?
A mixture, I would say.
I would say a mixture, because you've got to be able to understand, you know, the skill and be able to use the skill probably better.
Yeah.
You could be confident but not have the skills to sell something. So
see, in my mind, if you look at these young guys and gals here, you know, the best salespeople on this planet are young children. You think about your kids, if you've got kids, how well they sell you on whatever they want.
they just talk the truth.
They're honest. You know, they're not pushy. You know, okay, they might be pushy, but they're generally pushy in a nice way. You know, so everybody has the ability. We have the innate ability to sell. We are born with all the skills that we need to be great salespeople. If you can communicate, you can be a good salesperson. So we're born with a natural ability to do it. Now, some people take those natural skills, yeah, and get better at it, and they focus and they improve. Just same as a sports person, you know, that might pick up a tennis racket and find that they can actually bounce the ball, goes on to win Wimbledon, because they dedicate their life to becoming the best they possibly can be at that particular game. Now, the problem with those of us who haven't set on that just to be the best salesperson, and we do multiple jobs and find ourselves in a more of a sales role, is that we haven't dedicated our lives to it, and therefore we end up with going through this sort of 4 stages of learning. So the first stage is this unconscious incompetence stage, where we don't know what we don't know. Okay, so before you got into sales, you didn't know that you were any good or not good at sales. You just were blissfully unaware. Then you try and sell something, so you end up in a sales situation, yeah, and you have this conscious incompetence. You feel not particularly skilled at doing what you're trying to do. I remember one of my very first sales meetings, and I look back now and I just laugh. There was no way on hell that person I was talking to was ever going to buy from me. I wouldn't buy from me. I think I talked for about an hour and a half non-stop. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't kick me out, actually. I mean, I should write. I mean, I was going to write to him, but unfortunately his business went bust. But perhaps he should have listened to me. But we go through this unconscious incompetent stage. We feel uncomfortable with it. There's something in that first sale that we do that isn't quite right. Now, if I'm here, I feel this unconscious incompetent, what's my natural inclination?
Panic and keep talking.
Yeah.
Panic, keep talking, yeah. Or what did I really want to do? Rather than keep talking, what did I really want to do?
Just run.
Run away. It's a fight or flight situation. I'm either going to fight, and in a sales thing, punching your customer isn't really a great thing, yeah. Or in my case, I just talked a lot, or you try and run away. But can I go back into this box here? If I've moved out of this and now I was unconscious I didn't know that I couldn't sell, or I found sales difficult. Now I do know that I can't sell. Can I go back into this box? No, I can't. Once you're consciously aware of something, you can't be unconsciously aware of it. So the only way that I can, if I'm in this box and I'm struggling, what I do then at this stage is I have to go what I call below the line. So I go into blame, excuses, and denial. So when I come out of that sale, having talked for an hour and a half and the guy hasn't bought from me, who do I blame?
Everyone under the sun.
Him. Yeah, or I'll make excuses. Or I'll deny it. And how do you deny that you haven't made a sale in sales?
Say that the meeting didn't happen.
That is blatantly lie, Harriet. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that one. But let's say the meeting has happened. Yeah, but I'm going to deny the fact that I haven't sold to this person. So claim they didn't want to buy that. Yeah, that'd be an excuse. Yeah. But there's another way that incompetence. I'm not saying incompetent, but we've all done this. But it's a trap that we fall into at our peril. So I've gone in. He hasn't told. They haven't said no, because if they say no, I know I've lost the sale. What do they say rather than no?
Maybe.
We'll get back to you.
We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I'll think about that. So if you phone that person up, yeah, again and again and again, and they tell you no, then you've lost the sale. So if I want to deny that, what do I do, or what don't I do?
Contact them, get back.
Contact them again.
Yeah.
Because while they're in my pipeline, yeah, they haven't said no. So and what happens after a period of time, there's an unconscious feeling that, as long as I've got people in my pipeline, they might turn around one day and buy. The reality is we're just denying the fact that they actually said no the moment we walked out of that meeting. So this being in here, this conscious incompetent box is quite an uncomfortable situation, isn't it? No one wants to be in here. You know that we can't go back here, so we have to move forwards. We have to move into a conscious competent. So now I'm consciously competent. So what's the difference between these two, would you say?
You've made the sale somewhere along the line.
Made the sale, but I'm in it for my. So if I imagine this was my driving. So at the one moment I can't drive. Now I'm actually driving with a driving instructor. But what does consciously competent mean in how much effort goes into my driving?
You've learned what you're selling and how to sell it.
Yeah, think about in a driving situation, Harriet. Let's put it into
You've learned how to drive.
Yeah, you know what you need. You know what you're doing in order to actually make that sale. Well, you're conscious about the steps, the things you got to say, that type of thing.
Yeah, but this is a conscious comp. So I'm having to think about it all the time. I'm having to if I'm doing a driving lesson, it's sort of mirror, signal, maneuver, gear. And it's this is hard work. I keep forgetting bits. I missed that piece of the process. I didn't do that. I got that wrong. So occasionally we're kangarooing the car down the road. So this learning process here of me learning to be better is hard work. It's tough. I'm going to fail more times than I succeed in this stage. So my conversion rate is going to be what?
Quite low.
Low. Okay. So if my conversion rate is low and my self-esteem, etc., is low, my feeling is I want to go back here. Don't like this. This is not a nice place to be. This is tough. This is hard work. So there's an element here of actually I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put myself into a situation where I feel uncomfortable. So we start not now doing the sales calls. We don't have the sales meetings. I don't follow up on sales. I actually start running away from the very thing that I should be doing because it's hard work. It's tough. But only by doing that, going back to driving lessons, only by breaking through that and committing to it and continuing to learn, do I go into an unconsciously competent stage. So now I can do sales. I don't think about it. It's just natural for me. I know what I'm selling. I know how to sell it. My conversion rate is generally good. It's not bad. I might be up at the sort of 50-60% sales rates. And if I'm employed by somebody, that gets me through the keeps my job. I can get my sort of basic targets in place. If it's my business, I'm doing okay. What's the danger of being in this unconsciously competent stage?
Ever improving, I suppose, complacency.
Yeah, because I don't know what I don't know. I'm actually here. I'm unconsciously incompetent at something. I just don't know what it is yet. So what happens with good salespeople is they get to good, because they worked hard to get to there. Now I'm good, and then they stop. Okay, I'm hitting the bare. I'm hitting what I need to hit sales targets. Rather than actually saying, okay, so what am I unconsciously? What don't I know? How could I be better than I am today? What's my next level? So if my sales target was, I think Anne put £1 million, £1 million of sales. So if my sales target last year was 1 million and I achieved it, great. So what's my sales target next year? 1.5. Okay, is that going to be a challenge? Yes. Am I going to have to learn some new stuff to achieve it? Yes. Am I going to enjoy growing and becoming better? Yes. Or I just sit there unconsciously competent and no one picks it up, and I'll stay in that job and I'll stay doing it until something happens. So for me, sales is a never-ending learning opportunity. it's like any sport. You know, the top sports people, you know, if you look at, I mean, Djokovic, you know, won the US Open. You know, he's 19th. I mean, if you saw, Djokovic has won 19, Nadal's won 20, and Federer have won 20. Between them, they've won nearly 60 titles. Yeah. The next highest person that's won Grand Slams is Murray on 3. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. How do you get to that stage in your career, you know, and still want to improve, still want to get better? They don't stop. They're out on the practice field all the time. So if sales is just a game, why wouldn't we want to get better all the time at sales? Because there's always something else to learn. If we're pushing ourselves, that's really what we should be doing, is not around it. We've got to get through these stages. If we're new to it, the most dangerous is where we're here and we think we're good at it. Because guess what? You're not that good. Could be better. Because everybody could be better. So you've got to look at this and say, in order to master a skill, you've got to have 10,000 hours, yeah, of competent practice to master any skill. So if I wanted to learn the piano, 10,000 hours. If I want to play golf at a high level, 10,000 hours. If I want to be a great salesperson, 10,000 hours. Now, if you're dedicated, if you're just doing sales, that is probably going to take you, you know, as it says here, you know, if you're doing 8 hours a day, it's going to take you about 5 years to achieve it. For the rest of, for people that sales isn't your only job and it's just one of the jobs you're doing in your business, it's going to take you 20 years to master it. But if you're growing a business and you've got other people, then you need to know enough about it, then make sure you employ people who understand that they, back to here, yeah, don't get stuck here. They continue to learn and develop. And obviously, the way to do that is learn. You know, there's enough. I mean, I don't think you could read all the books on selling that have been ever written in a lifetime. So, you know, if you did 20 and you read one a month, you know, that's 2 years worth of knowledge that you're going to gain. How many sales courses can you go on to? You know, there's always something to learn, you know, because, you know, where you are, everything, you know, things do change and you'll continue to develop. And for me, you know, this is part of what I love about business, is because in every aspect of business, there's always something new to learn. You know, so our book club, you know, we've just read, you know, Measure What Matters, you know, and the learnings from that. I mean, I know, yeah, a few of you read it, and a few clients have come back and said it's going to change the way I run the business. You know, this book. So if anyone's read that one, Sun Tzu's Art of War, that was written 500 years BC. Not this particular book, obviously, it's too good condition to be 2,500 years old. But the stuff in here that he wrote 500 years BC, which is still relevant today. Okay, so we've got to see this as a continual development, continual learning process. And the salesperson that thinks they know it all, you know, it's just, I mean, in a way, it's just laziness, complacency, comfort zone. Okay, so we've got to keep driving, got to keep learning. Within the beliefs then, the other side of it is what type of salesperson you are. So how do you behave? So what is your behavior? And I think we've done this if you've been to the self-mastery, we do this in self-mastery. A few of you have had your DISC profiles done. But we basically look at people as being either task focused or people focused, outgoing or reserved. So extrovert, introvert, logical, more sort of people emotional side of things. So our D here is an outgoing task focused individual. So a dominant driving type of person. Outgoing people is an I, is an influencer. So a D gets what they want by telling people, an I gets what they want by influencing people. S's are more reserved, more thoughtful. So outgoing people speak before they think. Introverted, reserved people think before they speak. So they can come across, these are fast-paced people, these are slower-paced people, because they contemplate more, they process information at a different speed. And then our C's are our compliant, correct, cautious, calculating type people. Okay, so they are more logical and introverted. So C's, it's all about the attention to detail. Another way to look at it is these are powerful people, perfect, peaceful, and popular people. So it's just a different way to actually look at things. So if you were to take yourself, what I want you to do is put yourself in one of these boxes. I know some of you have done the profile, so you'll know, but based on what I've just told you, where would you put yourself? Would you say you're more of a dominant, outgoing, task-focused person, or a supporter, introverted people person? Are you more of a detailed C type person, more of an extrovert I type person?
What? Sorry, Kevin. What does the DICS stand for again? So do they stand for a word? Do there's a word there?
Dominant.
Dominant. Okay. Yeah.
Influencer.
Yeah.
Supporter. Cautious. So calculating. Yeah. Or you can use, powerful person, somebody who likes things perfect, somebody who likes to keep the peace, and somebody who likes to be more popular. Okay, so just put yourself in a box. So what I want now is there any of you here that would put themselves in the I box? Harriet?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to use you as an example then.
Yeah.
So as an I, if I was trying to sell to you, how would you like me to sell to you? So I'm going to sell you a holiday.
Okay.
Okay. So what's important for you for you when I'm communicating you with this holiday?
Quite friendly, quite outgoing, lot of banter.
Yep.
And then, to be honest, I'll buy anything from them.
So if I get you to like me,
Yeah.
and we've got real rapport, and I can show you this is going to be the best holiday of your life. You're going to be out there with loads of people on the beach, in the bars, having an amazing time.
Yeah.
I've pretty much got you sold, haven't I?
Yeah.
If I go into the details, if I come down here and sell like a C, and I tell you, how all the things can go wrong and how to be, you've got to be safe here, and all the pricing structures and the itinerary of every single day, and give you all the details that you need, am I going to sell to you?
No.
No. Okay, so you can see here that I's like to be sold to by I's.
Yeah.
Then we've got as a D, who would put themselves up here in the top left? Okay, so Ranji, I want you to imagine, you're a high D, dominant, outgoing, task-focused person.
Right.
Yeah. So what are you going to sort of want for me to sell to you?
I don't know. I couldn't actually even imagine being a D. I imagine somebody like Donald Trump is a D, is he?
Okay, let's take Donald
Something
Trump.
like
So,
that?
yeah.
So how would I sell to him? Everything's amazing.
You're brilliant. You look great.
Yeah.
But there's quite a bit of I with Mr. Trump as well.
Okay,
so
right.
that's-
Okay,
that's
so
you.
okay, fair enough.
So is he going to want you to witter on for a long time?
No.
Is he going to want you to go into loads of detail?
No, you're not going to go into any detail. It's going to be really high level, and you're just going to have a great holiday. I promise you, you'll have a great holiday.
Yeah. It's going to be, look, I can help you achieve your goal. I'm going to make you feel good, look good. Yeah. And this is what it is. And if I get that, then great, you'll sell to me. If I don't get that, if you can't convey that simply and easily to me, yeah, then the sale's gone. Okay. Now, who would put themselves as an S? Neil, okay.
Yep.
So you can be the sort of the S. So this is more of a steady. I like to think about things. So if I'm a high D selling to you, yeah, and I'm going to hit you with all, just come on, make a decision, make a decision, make a decision. How are you going to feel?
Well, that'll turn me off. That'll actually make me go the other way and
Exactly.
probably want to go somebody else.
Yeah. So you're going to see this person as the pushy salesperson. So we can start to see here that, every profile needs to be sold to differently. And if we sell to the wrong person with a wrong profile, then we have problems. And these problems really come in four ways. Okay, so the order taker is somebody who waits for somebody to ask if they can buy. What I would call a passive salesperson. So if you ask me, I'll sell to you. If you don't ask me, then the sale's going to not happen. So what profile do you think would be the order taker out of the D, I, S, and C?
C, probably.
Possibly, yeah. If it wasn't the C, which one would it be? Dan's put the I. It's not the I. I'll show you why. I mean, until you see all four, you'll see in a minute.
S.
Yes. Okay. The S is passive. It's I'm here to support you. If you tell me what you want, I'll help you. I'm not pushy. I'm not going to sort of chase you. I'm going to sit here and wait.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. So fine. I'll be really good to you, but you need to lead because I don't. Leading is not my natural profile. So what if I'm the product bore? So I love talking about the product, the detail. I love to explain exactly how this works.
It's a C.
It's the C. Okay, now if I'm a high C, am I going to be upset if somebody talks about all the detail to me?
No.
No, I'm going to love it. Yeah, if I was this person to Harriet, yeah, her eyes would start rolling. It'll be she's too polite to tell me to bugger off, and she'll listen to me.
No, she's not.
He's really not.
No, she is.
There's a bit of D in there as well. Is there? The D will just tell you to bugger off or just walk out, just leave you behind. So,
Yep.
Okay. What about the overseller? So promises the world everything's going to be great, everything's fine, it's all lovey-dovey.
It's the influencer, yeah.
The I, the influencer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the influence. But if I was at high I like Harriet, yeah, and I was this type of person, she'd love it. I could sell her anything.
Yeah. You could sell me bottled water.
Yeah.
And,
But for the other three profiles, this doesn't work. If I try and oversell to a D, they'll just see through it. The S will go, oh, well, no, that's all too good to be true, and the C will say, just tell me the detail. I need to know the facts. You're not giving me any facts. What about the pushy seller? I think we talked about that one. Hounds you into a sale.
D, I guess.
That'll be the D. You know, that'll be the dominant. You know, come on, you made a decision yet? Made a decision yet? Made a decision yet? Now, if I was a fellow D, I wouldn't mind that. It wouldn't be a problem because I would either tell them to piss off or I would have signed up. So we'd never get to a situation where I'd see you as pushy because I've already made my decision, and it's very, very clear what that is. So you can see here that, you know, as a salesperson, if we are one of these, if we stay in our box, yes, we can sell to people like us, but we're going to lose 75% of our sales. If we can adapt one way, so if a D can become a bit more C, or a D can become a bit more I, yeah, so if I go back here. So if I stay in my box, I'm only going to sell to 25 to 25%. If I can adapt slightly here and here, because these are the easiest ones, if I'm task focused, outgoing, I can be a bit more people focused, or I can be a bit more detail focused. If I'm an I can be a bit more task, I can be a bit more S. I could actually, if I could do one of them, I could actually then sell to 50% of the people I come across. If I can adapt both ways and become more D and more S in situations, I can sell to 75%. If I can adapt to all four, then I'm going to increase my chance of sales to 100%. So the fifth way, the fifth type of salesperson, which is the salesperson we need to be, is a problem solver. Okay, you tell me as the customer what your problem is, and I will then help solve your problem. And if you're a D, I will solve it in a very quick matter of fact. If it's a C, I'll solve it in a detailed orientated. If it's an I, I'll be your best mate. And if it's an S, I will take you through the process and support you through the buying decision. So as a great salesperson, we've got to become more adaptable with our behavior and look at sales from the perspective of the client, not from our perspective. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do when we come into sales is we've got to look at the type of person, the type of person who I am. I've got to know what profile I am and my strengths and my weaknesses and be able to adapt those. But then I've got to look at my client and say, right, from the client's perspective, what do I need to be? And that alone, that learning alone, that can take years to develop. And if you take it to the nth degree, you know, there's a thing called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and it's a way of using language to influence people. So if you study NLP at the extreme level, you're into hypnosis. So the likes of Paul McKenna, Derren Brown, they use NLP to actually get people to do what they want to do. So you can influence people, if you understand this at that level, to dance around stage like a chicken.
Is that something worth considering?
What, to do the course or make people dance around like a chicken?
No, to consider hypnosis as a way of selling things to people.
Hypnosis is, you've got to sort of study hypnosis. You can't make somebody do something they don't want to do, even in hypnosis. Okay, but hypnosis is a way of getting people into a state in which they are more open and suggestible. So you won't make somebody buy something from you that they don't want. But if they do want it, but they're not sure and they're thinking about it, you can help them to get into a state where they're more likely to make a decision and do it. So the techniques, the sales techniques, if you really want to learn about this stuff, it's all there on NLP. You can learn to do that. you know, that's what your kids do to you. When your kids want you to sell, they're just using NLP, yeah, to actually make you give them an ice cream. Yeah, by learning the techniques through, you know, the NLP toolbox, is we just learn how to do this better, and as and when we want to do it in different situations. So you've got to have that goal. You've got to know why you want to become a better salesperson, what you're trying to achieve. Then you've got to understand you've got to work on yourself. Yeah, it's more about your internal skills as much as what we're going to come on to now, which is the external. How do I do this? Okay. So any questions around disc profiling?
Just one, Kevin. Sorry. You know, you said like so I's like buy from I's and D's buy from D's.
Yeah.
How do you really get a gauge when you're talking to your client of what kind of person they are?
Good question.
If it's a new client.
It's a new.
Especially
I mean,
on the phone as well, or as opposed to face to face.
Yeah. How do you really gauge what kind of person they are?
Look, it's harder. You know, if you've got to think about. I do come on to this at the end, but I'll cover it now. There's what we call 3 modalities. So auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. That's generally the 3 types of people. Okay, so I could be a high D, a high I, but there's auditory, visual, kinesthetic. And we've got to understand there's a number of things that are going on here, but if we use the telephone, we can only use auditory learning, you know, which is only about 10% of how we take in information. So it's not a great way to gauge somebody. It is quite difficult. Add in visual, okay, so I can now see you. So now to Zoom, we're now around about 60%. Okay, so I can sort of gauge, you know, when Ranjit said, you know, he's not I'm not a D, I'm not a D, you know, if I was meeting Ranjit for the first time, there are certain cues that I could mistake over Zoom for being D from Ranjit. Okay, so you can get it, but it's not easy. If I was on the phone, it's quite tough for me to get it. If I see somebody face to face, then I've got the kinesthetic, the feel, yeah, the energy between us, plus the visual, plus the auditory, and that's going to help me to really understand it more.
Right.
Okay, but there are some ways, you know, if you see somebody act, how you can identify what it is. Yeah, because the last thing you want to do in a sales meeting is say, please, can you complete that profile before I sell to you? So, but
Kevin, what about the way they dress? Is that a particular cue for D's and C's and?
Yeah, yes, I would say yes and no. Okay, it's a combination of a number of things that work together that paints a picture. That therefore, the more time you're with somebody, the more likely you're going to get it right. So if I said to you, Margaret Thatcher, yeah, what profile would she be?
D.
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 Yeah, D.
Okay, so what is it about Margaret Thatcher that makes you say she's a D?
Because she woke up at 4 o'clock every morning, or slept only 4 hours, or something like that.
Yeah,
that sounds like someone that's pretty driven.
Yeah, very driven. So a driven individual, you know, does things that other people wouldn't do to get where she wants to get to. Great. So that's one thing. What would be another thing? What about the way she dressed?
Power suits.
Power suits. It was a power statement. You know, she dressed to impress. You know, it wasn't for comfort. You know, it was to stand out, and because you know she was a female in a male world, she had to go that extra level.
Elocution.
Elocution in what way? What was her not more her languaging? What sort of
the
sort of
voice?
Language did she use?
Oh,
Use flowery language.
Sorry, did she? I
Did
didn't
she
think she did.
No, she didn't use flowery language, did she?
She didn't. She was very very to the point, matter of fact, robust.
Yeah. What was the pace of her tone?
It was quite
calm, wasn't it?
Calm, but was it slow or fast?
Wouldn't say either.
No, it's sort of, yeah,
Steady.
it was steady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it sort of a little bit weak and wishy-washy, or was it powerful?
Powerful.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, compare her to John Major, if you remember John Major, or even Theresa May. Compare her to Theresa May.
Yeah.
So where would you put Theresa May?
Yeah,
Awkward.
the reluctant leader.
Yeah. So which profile would you put her in? See, possibly. I wouldn't probably put. I'd put probably John Major in a C box.
Yeah, John Major's a C, yeah. No.
She's an S.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you've been watching the Trump, how Trump ruled the world. It's really good, really good. Makes you like Trump again.
Well, sort
Really,
of.
really.
But when you see Trump and Theresa May together, yeah, you just see the two profiles. There's a high D, you know, Trump, and an S, you know, subservient Theresa May in her body language, the way she dressed, the way she, you know, the way she acted. So you can tell people, if you think about it, quite quickly from their profile. Sitting, you know, on a Zoom meeting like this, you know, with Lee just listen to me, it's very difficult to assess what Lee is. If
Lee's definitely not a D or an I.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm getting somebody that's, you know, slower paced, thoughtful. Yeah, is he more introverted? Sort of, you know, probably more introverted. Is he more task focused or people focused? I'd probably go a little bit more task focused, but you know, so somewhere in the CS sort of profile.
That is spot on. You need to do this for a job, mate.
Obviously, Harry, you've spoken the most out of all the people here today, so I'd put you in the top side, more extrovert. Yeah, and you know, would I guess you're more dominant or more people? I'd say more people. So I'd put you in the I box. iPhone down the bottom corner. I haven't seen. I hasn't said anything. I've got no idea. Okay, so the more you use this, the better you are at it. So I've been doing it for 15 years now, and I'm pretty good. Do I use it as much as I should do? Probably not. I still default to, you know, my way of selling. So I sell as if the prospect was me. Mm. Okay, and that does cause me problems, and I do have to catch myself and go back, because I'm still in the, you know, consciously competent as a salesperson.
So it's one of those things that will sort of get easier over time.
Yeah, the more you practice it, the better you get. I mean, it's great because once you've done your profile, you start profiling everybody. Profile the kids, profile the teachers, profile, you know, your friends. You know, that's why I use DISC, because it's a great tool. It's a simple one to understand, and you don't need to do a psychometric of somebody to really know what they are, because it's all you're going on is their behavior. How do you behave? Are you behaving an extrovert way, an introverted way, a logical way, or more of an emotional way? Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Kevin.
Good. So what do we need to do then? So who do we need to be? What are our goals now? What do I need to do to become a better salesperson? The first thing I would say for most of us, you know, because this is sort of a little bit more to people who sales isn't their only job, but it still applies to those that sales is their only job, is make time to sell. Okay, if you've got 101 other things to do and you don't create space in your diary to do something you're not great at, it won't get done. Okay, you will avoid it. Yeah, there'll be lots of excuses at the end of the week. So how many sales did you do this week, Lee? Well, I was busy doing this and I was busy doing this and I was busy doing this, and therefore, so that you're telling me none then. And the problem when we're managing people that do multiple things is when we get that answer, well, I was busy doing this, this, and this, and those are equally as important as sales, is I can't hold them to account. If your only job was to sell some stuff, yeah, and that's all you had to do, 40 hours a week with sell stuff, it's easy for me to hold you accountable. Because, well, what else are you doing? There's nothing else you need to be doing in those 40 hours apart from sell. And this is why I think it gets easier to manage yourself and salespeople when you're bigger, when you've got one person doing one thing. Because at the moment, you know, if I said to Gary, right, Gary, you know, how many sales have you converted this week?
No, I've viewed like 3 jobs and I've not had anything confirmed yet.
Okay, so you've done 3 jobs. You've
0,
and you've converted none of them. So 0. So as a salesperson, you suck this week.
Yeah, badly.
Okay. So if I said to you, okay, Gary, you know, why didn't you sell more than, well, why didn't you sell more than 0? Because you do multiple jobs, what excuses and blame are you going to use?
My excuse is I haven't not got them yet. I'm just waiting to hear back. So
Okay.
I viewed and priced jobs on Mondays and it's only Thursday. So
okay.
Give them
so why did you only do 3 quotes?
Because I only had 3 possible quotes lined up.
Okay. So why didn't you get more than 3?
Because I only got 3 referrals. I only had 3 jobs come through.
Okay, so now you're blaming marketing because marketing only got you 3 leads.
Me.
It's marketing's fault. Oh, so you're marketing as well.
The marketing side of my brain, naughty, slap that side.
So what was so marketing only brought in 3 leads. So marketing didn't do particularly well either.
Well, 3 leads a week is quite a lot for me actually.
Okay.
So it's not too bad. But yeah, I get where you're going. It's because from BNI, so
and then you'd say, well, I only got in 3 leads because I was out fixing things most of this week.
Yeah.
So now I'm wearing the operations hat. So it's very hard to keep somebody accountable when they're doing multiple things because they're always doing something else, not the thing that I'm trying to hold them accountable to.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've got to make sure, and this is not just third-party accountability, this is self-accountability. If I want to be great at sales or whatever I want to do, then I have to be responsible for that. I have to take ownership of my performance. Yeah, and if I'm going to do that, I've got to give myself enough time to succeed. So I've got to put in here in my default diary enough time to do work that I need to do to get the result I'm after. If I don't book it in, it doesn't get done. And this is where the discipline comes in when we're running businesses or we've got multiple tasks to do as managers. Yeah, that I've got to have the time to succeed. If I don't create the time to succeed, then success is just going to be luck. And that might be, you know, doing the quotes. It might be the initial meeting. It might be the following up. You know, all the processes that we'll look at later. You know, you've got to make sure you have enough time to actually achieve. And be honest with yourself. If you don't have enough time, then be honest and say, look, there's no way I'm going to achieve that. This is what I can achieve with the time I've got. And by doing this, what you'll start to see that, yeah, at some point you're going to need support. You're going to need to systemize it. You're going to need to outsource it. You know, you're going to have to add resource in it to actually get a higher result. Okay, so we've got to create, if we don't create the space, then no matter what we do, how good a salesperson we are, we're going to fail because we don't dedicate enough time to it. So the next thing we need to do is we've got the time, we've got the leads coming in from marketing. So marketing are doing a good job. And we now need to sort of basically qualify these people. So when a lead comes in, small percentage will be ready to buy right now. Okay, so, and that's what I would call sort of lucky sales. They fall on your lap just at the right time, right place, right time, and they sign up. When we get a lead in, you'll get a percentage that will just not be interested. Yeah, they'll either tell you to, F off. I mean, there's a little bit of marketing involved here, but I was with a client doing this earlier today, and they were getting lots of leads in that were just too small. They're just piddly. So we were telling them to piss off. Actually, you're not the type of lead. And then we need to go back to marketing and say, marketing, you're generating me the wrong type of lead. We're wasting our marketing budget here on gaining me sort of minnows when I want, sunfish. And then we'll have a percentage here, so around about sort of 40–50%, which might be interested. Yeah, they're on the fence, on a positive fence, and a percentage that won't yet be interested. So this is going to be slightly, we've got them a little bit too early in the process. The leaders come in a bit earlier than they're ready to buy from us. Now, if I'm a salesperson and I get a number of these, what's my conversion rate going to be?
It'll be high straight away.
High. If I get these and I don't have 100% conversion rate, then I'm convincing them not to buy. I'm actually de-selling them. So if I get a few of these through marketing, how good do I feel I am as being a salesperson? I'm the best.
Yeah.
I'm a brilliant salesperson. So if I feel I'm a brilliant salesperson, what's my inclination now then to go and learn to be a better salesperson?
Yeah, they're not very likely.
Why do I need to learn? I've got 100% conversion rate. I should be writing the book on it. So what happens is if you come into sales and you get into this too early, then you become complacent too early. So you get a few of these, you go, yeah, I'm the dog's what's-its in sales. You don't learn, you don't do what's necessary. And then when these dry up, you end up coming back into here, and you've got no idea. You just wait until I get some more. So I wait until I get sort of 100% conversion rate, nil conversion rate, until some of these come back and I get 100% conversion rate again. To me, the skill in sales is actually, I don't get these. I'm actually good at doing this. I'm really good at taking somebody who's in the, down here at this level is probably, it's going to take a long time, but even those people I'll nurture. But these people I'm going to help through the process. And that to me is a great salesperson who doesn't just convert the easy ones, are actually able to take somebody who has a slight interest and actually turn them into a sale. So we've got to create a sales process that takes people through here. This is easy. This is basically, they want it, you do the price for them and they buy it. That's not sales, that's order taking. Remember we said an order taker? So when somebody wants to place an order, they do that. If you go to think about in a restaurant, a waiter or waitress in a restaurant. Are they salespeople?
No, because you're already there.
You're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just there to take their order.
Yeah.
Now, if that waiter, waitress was a salesperson, what would they be really good at?
Upselling.
Upselling. So their
Right.
average transaction value would be 50% more than an order taker. They would sell you the starter, they would sell you the dessert, they would upsell you the wine, they would sell you the water. Yeah, and guess what they would get at the end?
Tip.
A bigger tip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how many restaurants teach their waiters and waitresses how to sell?
None.
They don't.
No.
And something as simple as that, you know, in a place where you're getting people that walk through the door that are going to buy. You don't have to convince them to buy. Yeah, because they just buy, we just treat them as order takers. So what we've got to do here is if we understand this process here, then and this profile, we can sell pretty much anything to anybody, as long as they want to buy. You can't sell things to people that don't want to buy or it's not relevant. Shouldn't be trying to do that. But if they're in the market, then we should be able to sell to them. So the best book I've come across that teaches this is this one: Sell It Today, Sell It Now. A guy called Tom Hopkins. It's not an easy read. It's quite a detailed book, but the concept is really the key part to this. And he broke the sales process down into 4 stages: building trust, identifying need, showing how we help, and then hurrying to a close. And I've read tons of sales books, and every single sales book really comes back to this. And even marketing is really this, but you know, this is about getting somebody to buy from you. So people are not going to buy from you unless they trust you. Okay, unless they actually trust you, you're never going to sell them anything. A bit like, you know, when talking to Harriet. Harriet said, if I like you, then I'll buy from you. Can't help myself. The only way that this does change is if I come to you with a need. Okay, so if I've actually sought you out, I've already got enough trust in you to actually fix me. So if my pain is quite prominent, yeah, and you need to get me out of pain, I don't need to trust you that much. So to put that into context, let's say I've broken my leg's hanging off, yeah, and I go into a hospital, am I bothered which doctor fixes me? Okay, if I'm looking for plastic surgery to enlarge my my abs, yeah, am I just going to walk into hospital and get anybody to do that? No. Okay, so one, I can come into the need first. If you can fix broken legs, then I'm probably going to buy from you. As long as you don't do anything that means I don't trust you, then you can help me and then we can get it done. If there's no rush, if there's no urgency, if there's no real need, then I need to build the trust first. So the first thing you've got to understand when a client comes to you is how needy are they for solving that problem? Because the worst thing you can do if they're not that needy is go straight in to say, yeah, we can help with that, we can deal with that, because you've missed the first part of this process. So a way to look at this, he calls it reducing the sales resistance, increasing the sales acceptance. So reducing the sales resistance is about building trust and identifying the need. Okay, so a good way for this, and then we build and we show how we're going to help. So if I come in here and I don't trust you, and I haven't identified the need, and you go straight into help. When I come to say, do you want to, are you ready to take the order? You're going to say, oh, let me think about it. Okay. The only reason that people say, I'll think about it, is because they don't trust you yet, or you haven't really identified their true need. So, and a way, again, if I use the doctor analogy, so Harriet, we'll use you. So you've got a really bad shoulder. Okay, so it's been giving you grip for ages, and you've been recommended to come and see me. I am the #1 shoulder expert in the world. Okay, I've got plaques on my wall of all the wards, everything I've done around shoulders. So you come into my surgery, and I look at you, I look at your shoulder, and because I'm an expert, I say, Harriet, yeah, I know what your problem is. Yeah, all you need to do is take 3 of these 3 times a day for the next 3 weeks. You'll be fine. Off you go. What do you now think about me?
I don't trust you.
Yeah, but I'm the expert. I'm brilliant. I've shown you what to do. Yeah, there's something in the back of your mind that says, really? Yeah, how does he know that? Well, I'm an expert. I've been doing this for years. And that's what we do as businesses when people come into us and we assume that they actually are ready to buy. We go straight to the help, and then they go, oh, yeah, but I'm not quite sure. How do you know that's what I need? So if I use a different situation, so same thing, you come into my surgery, yeah, and I say, oh, hi, Harriet, how are you? Come in, sit down, we'd like a cup of coffee. Yeah, tell me about your shoulder.
Oh, there's a niggling pain in my left shoulder.
Yeah, so we talk about that. We talk about, what problem, is it keeping you up at night? When did it start? Now, I don't need to ask you any of this because I know what the problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll ask you a number of questions about the shoulder. Yeah, and we'll go through a process. You'll get to know, like, and trust me. I'll get to understand more about your shoulder. I don't need to know because I know what it was the moment you walked through the door. But I need you to know. I need you to explore and you to understand what you need. I need to educate you to a point where when I say, take 3 of these 3 times a day for the next 3 weeks and you'll be fine, you just go, thank you, Dr. Kevin. That's brilliant. I'm so relieved that you understand me.
Yeah.
You understand my problem and you've given me the best solution. So I've gone through that process, not for me, I've gone through that process for you. And that's what you've got to think the sales process is. It's not about me. I know what your problem is. I know what you need to do because that's all I do day in, day out. I've seen hundreds of you. I need to take you through that process for you. So you understand it. You feel that you can trust me. So I've shown, that we've got some commonality, that we like the same things. It might be the same color. It might be the same football team. It might be something, oh, I like that. I like that tie you're wearing. I like that dress you're wearing. I like your shoes. This is a lovely house. It's a lovely neighborhood. I think your offices are great. Yeah, competency. You've got to see that you are. I don't need to shout about my qualifications. Yeah, but you need to see them. You need to understand that they are there. They're on the wall. Yeah, they're in the brochure that I'm sending you. They're with the case studies that are there. They're on my website. Okay, so this part of building trust and need, that sort of can happen at the same time, but you've got to build this up really before you're allowed to ask this. The bigger the trust. So if you really, so we've had this chat about you and your shoulder. When I start asking you personal questions about your shoulder, yeah, then you're going to trust me, therefore you're going to open up. If you don't trust me, you're not going to open up So I'm never going to understand what your real need is. So we dig deep down in our questions. And then when we come up this side, we start to reaffirm. So just so I get this right, shoulder's been keeping you up all night. You've been losing sleep. You're not working very well. It's affecting your personal life. Yeah. Therefore, this is my solution. Okay. And if it comes to sort of, kitchens, Dan, same thing is, so what are you looking for in a kitchen? What's important to you? What do you like about your existing kitchen? What don't you like about your existing kitchen? What does your dream kitchen look like? Tell me, I need to understand, and while they're talking and telling you about their kitchen, about their business, you're also assessing their disc profile. Because how they communicate to you will show it. If they're all sort of, big picture stuff, being, exuberant with all the sort of graphics, they're generally going to be an I. If they're powerful and they want a kitchen that supports their power, then they're going to be more D. S's are going to be a bit more slow paced. C's are going to tell you, exactly the make and model of what they want. So by going through this process and understanding in our sales process at every stage, why are we saying what we're saying? Why do we send them what we send them? Am I trying to build trust? Am I trying to identify need? This is the most important. So when it comes to, I think somebody said, I want to know how to close better. Yeah, that's not what you want. What you want is, how do I open better? If you do this really, really well, closing is easy. Okay, closing is just fine. Where do you want to start? It's a shame Dan's, the other Dan's sort of left, but when I had my sort of first meeting with Dan, I wasn't even selling to him. We were just having a chat, and I went through this process because that's what I do, because I like to help as many people as I can. And I got down into this, and I touched a button. One of the questions I could see is body language changed, and then I just did my little throwaway question, my throwaway answer here, which is the sort of the three option close. It's the summary trial close. I said to him, so when do you want to start? And he said, as soon as possible. If you do this right, you don't have to worry about closing. Closing just comes naturally. Do this wrong, and you have to work really hard at closing. There are some ways, there are some skilled salespeople that can do that. In today's world, I just don't think you need it. So think, when you take on a new client, from the moment they come in, maybe the first email they send, the first phone call they send, the first face-to-face meeting, this process starts. Starts before that, starts in your marketing, but in a sales aspect, and we're straight into, what am I doing to build trust with this individual? How am I identifying their need? What's important to them? My questions digging deep enough, because if I can get to the emotion, I'm going to be more likely to close a sale. I'll come on to that in a little bit. Okay, so if we look at, trust really is about empathy. And I've been doing a LinkedIn poll. I said, I think I came up with 4 traits of great salespeople: empathy, discipline, and a few others. And I said, which one do you think is the most important? And I think it was something like over half the people said empathy. The best salespeople are the empathetic salespeople. And empathy is purely about seeing things from the other person's point of view. It's listening. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that order. Ask a question and listen. What do they actually say? What are they talking about? Pay them attention. Now, females are better empathy than males. Yeah, I have to work pretty hard at it sometimes. I get easily sidetracked, and more so on Zoom calls than I do on face-to-face. So I have to take notes. So I'm a kinesthetic person. So when I'm with, I have to write things down because that keeps my attention and keeps me in the game, as it were. If I don't take notes, then my mind starts to wander, and the empathetic connection disappears. So we've got to look at, are we creating this empathy with other people? And how we gain empathy, the words that we use, I said this before, the sort of when we're trying to pick up somebody's DISC profile, it's types of communication. The words that we use is only it's less than 10% of communication. So I get people that are sort of trying to do scripts and things like that and worried about the words they're going to say. It's sort of almost irrelevant. It's irrelevant what you say. It's more how you say it. The tone of what you say is far more important. And if you are face to face, the body language is really key. And it's both ways. Empathy has got to be two ways. I can't be empathetic to you, and you not have empathy to me. That's not an empathetic connection. So I've got to look at you and sort of almost, it's called mirror matching. And if you see two people in real and empathetic connection, they're almost like a mirror image of each other. If I lean forwards, you lean forwards. If I lean back, you lean back. If I cross my legs, you cross your legs. We are genetically programmed to do this. So we're just using ways to get into rapport with somebody to a level where we can see this. So if you're aware, when you're in a sales meeting, have I got rapport with this person? Are they really engaged with what I'm saying? If they're not, then don't even try and close a sale. And what you'll find is this becomes quite difficult when you're selling to two people. Certainly with Dan, where you've got husband and wife and you're selling kitchens to, because generally in couples, or even in business partners, you've got two different behavioral profiles that you're dealing with. In a couple, you might have a high D husband and a high S wife, or you might have a high I wife and a high C husband. So you're trying to now get into empathy and rapport with two completely different profiles. And that's not easy. But if you practice it, if you learn it, you can actually adapt and treat people in different ways to help them to gain that trust with you. So yes, scripts are important because you're trying to take them through a process, but actually how you deliver it and body language that you use is vitally important. And if you want an example of this, who's had a telemarketing call from a sales center in the last week?
Yeah.
Car phone warehouse.
Car phone warehouse. Okay, so it was a phone one, was it?
Straight from India somewhere.
Straight from India. Okay, so if you looked at the words they were using, how much did you pay attention to what they were saying?
Not a lot.
Hardly anything.
It was literally an opening script.
Yeah. So you were basing it purely on voice because you couldn't see their body language. It was purely their tonality, and within probably 5 seconds, 1 second, you've judged that call.
Yeah, and I hung up within 10 seconds.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, my bloody mobile phone's number's been given to bloody some data list. I get now about 3 calls a day. So I don't even say anything now. I just pick the phone up. And if they don't say something within 30 seconds, I hang up. Because if I phone somebody up and they answer, I say, "Oh, hi, Ranj." You've got literally, now milliseconds to actually engage with somebody. Okay, so when you get inbound calls, you've got to be thinking about this, about what is that first impression? Are we picking up the phone on the third ring? Pick up too soon, what does that say to somebody?
You're not busy enough.
Yeah. So when I make a phone call, I dial the number, and then I'm composing myself of what I want to say. If you pick up the phone too soon, I'm not ready for the call yet. And the statistics say 3 rings gives the ringer time to actually get ready for the call. Now, if I wait 5 rings, now what do I think?
People being ignored. I'm
being ignored. Okay, now even if I know consciously that you're not ignoring me, subconsciously the sign says, they're not there, they're not interested. So you can see every step in this process, has a point. There's a reason behind it. Okay, so we've got to be careful. We've got to look at all of the process, break it down, and see if we want to improve our conversion rate, how can we make it a bit better? So what people are looking for is sort of authority. Okay, so, and I think this is where the sort of pushy salesperson sort of gets it wrong a little bit, is they try to be the authority, but it comes across in the wrong way. People do like to be led. I sort of, when I buy stuff, I sort of, certainly if it's something I don't buy very often, I don't mind being taken through a process. So if I'm going to buy a car, I want somebody to take control of the process. I want to know that I'm being looked after and I'm being taken on the right journey. I don't want to be ignored, and I don't want to be mollycoddled or talked down to. So getting that balance right is really important. Are we being authoritative in what we're trying to do? Then we've got to understand that buying decisions, when we do come to the close, are based on a mixture of logic and emotion. Because we have 2 sides to our brain, left brain, right brain. Left brain is...
Do you know? 50-50 emotion.
Excellent. You chose the wrong one. So left brain is logical, okay? Right brain is emotion. The easiest way to think about that, if I make a decision, an emotional decision, what do people send? That's a decision of the
heart.
Okay, which side of the body is the heart on?
Left.
The left side. Which side of the brain controls the left side of the body?
Right hand side.
The right hand side. Our brains are mirrored, so the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. So when we say it's a decision of the heart, it's not the heart. The heart's just a bloody organ. It's a decision of the right side of the brain. Okay, so if you want to know that, it's the opposite side to your heart. So when we make decisions, 20% of the decision is a logical one, 80% is emotional. And that's because when you dig down into the brain, when they say right and left side, yes, it does control it, but actually it's deeper than that. Our emotional brain is around our chimp brain, our mammalian brain, our limbic system, and our reptilian brain. So those are the brains that we've have most developed in all human beings and all animals. our neocortex, our thinking brain, our logical brain, is the least developed. Okay? This part of the brain doesn't start developing in children until the age of, I think, 6 months old or something. They're born with an emotional brain. So buying decisions are, yes, they're logical. But if we hit the emotion, then we're more likely to buy. So our questioning, everything we do has got to be around, what's the emotion behind this? Yes, Harriet, your shoulder's bad, you know, and the logical is take 3 of these tablets. If I know the emotion, what pain it's causing you, how your life is impacted by this, then whatever I come up with, you're more likely to buy. Bigger the ticket, the item, and the less need-based, more emotion is going to be. So Dan and his kitchens, it's probably going to be 99% emotion. Because logically, I don't need to spend 50 grand on a kitchen. Logically, I can go to Wix and buy a kitchen. Okay, so big ticket, expensive items, not, you know, that aren't urgent, are going to be emotional. So you've got to decide, you know, is this a need base? Is it a you know, a want desire base? If it's more emotional, then we've got to tap into that side of the brain more. And if we want them to overcome change, so if they have a resistance, so if they do say, oh, I think about that, or they're not too sure, then we come back to what we call the formula for change, which is there's no point in hanging on about the first steps. This is what we need to do. We've got to go back and say, right, the emotion is coming from the dissatisfaction or the vision. Have I not made the pain big enough or the pleasure enjoyable enough for you to actually buy from me? Because those are the two sort of emotions that drive us to do something, moving away from pain, moving towards pleasure. So what am I doing in my sales script? What am I doing in my packs to either create more dissatisfaction with where they are or more pleasure with where they need to get to? And then the first steps is the help side of things, which, you know, I say is important, but it's the least important. So if I'm going to go into the need identification, yeah, I need to be asking questions, they answer. I ask another question, they answer. I ask another question, I keep digging deeper and deeper until at one point it changes. Once I hit an emotion, yeah, they ask a question and then I have an answer. While you're asking the question and answering, they're using their logical brain. Once they ask a question, they're generally gone into emotional brain. Okay, so if I go back to when I was talking about my sales thing is, you know, I ask, when do you want to start? Yeah, and they answer with a question. So what does that look like? How do we get started? How do we do this? I know at that stage that they're going to buy because I've hit that emotional button. Okay, so our ability to ask questions, our ability to build trust, our ability to ask questions, to me is the most important part of sales. If I can do that, then I can sell anything to anybody. And sometimes we get a situation where that emotion starts to boil over. You know, we get people to a point where they're uncomfortable. Now we've got to decide when we're selling, is this the right time to be doing this? Yeah, because sometimes it's not. But if we want them to come through, then we call this perturbation. So it's the state of transitioning from one state to another state. So if I had a pan of water and I wanted to turn it from water into steam, I'd have to apply heat and pressure to do that. This point here is quite a turbulent point. Okay, so it's an emotional stage where that person feels uncomfortable. Now, if I get somebody to a point where they feel uncomfortable, what's my natural feeling to do? What would I do with this heat and pressure?
Turn it down a bit.
Turn it down. Oh, I don't like putting you under that pressure. Well, actually, sometimes what we've got to do is push it up. If I've built enough trust with somebody, I should be able to increase the pressure in order to take them through this. And I think that's, if we go back to that sales process where we're dealing with people further down the line, this is where the real skill of sales comes in, is if you can take people through this perturbation quickly. So I can get you to this point of emotion, but then have a safe journey through the other side. Okay, so I think that comes from time and experience within the job role. Yeah, if you don't want to take somebody through perturbation who's, if you're not experienced in doing it, because if you don't get it right, then you just basically just blow up and then they just leave. Okay, so you've got to know when to apply the pressure, when to keep turning it, and when to back off. Okay, right, I've put you, so I had a client today and we were talking about a particular aspect, and I could see that he was in perturbation. He was worried about the next stage, so I turned up the pressure. And I turned up the pressure a bit more, and he got to a point where, you know, I could see that this was going to go the wrong way, because he wasn't ready to deal with this particular point at this stage. So that was a time for me to back off the pressure, to note it. I'm not going to leave it. I'll come back to it, but today wasn't the day I was going to overcome that. Okay, but I would say this, we're looking at this level in sort of higher level skill situations. So once we've shown them how we've identified the need, built the trust, we then show them how we can help them. Yeah, and we've got to get that across in a way that suits them both. So do we need to show them visuals? Do we need to sort of speak to them, or do we need to actually show them how it works? So remember, you know, people are not only DISC, but they're also VAC, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And if you don't know what they are, then a little bit of each of them is the best way. Okay, so if you're going to send them a quote, follow it up with a phone call, follow it up with a visit. Yeah, because they may not just be visual type of people. They may want to see it in action. What does this actually look and feel like? Okay, and the statistics are, you know, 40, 20, 40. Going back to your point about the understanding DISC profile, visual people generally dress really smart and look good. Auditory people or kinesthetic people dress more for comfort, how I feel. You know, I'm not too fussed about looks, but it's more about, you know, in comfort. Auditory people have no idea how they dress. Okay, because they're not visual. So you see auditory people dressed in really bizarre things. You know, no color coordination, things just don't go together. So you see a lot of musicians for auditory, because that's their nature, and their dress code is just bizarre. Nothing really matches. They're better off being dressed by somebody else. Okay, so that's it's a quick way to try and assess how people, you know, what sort of people are. So if you looked at Gary, you know, Gary's going to be a much more kinesthetic type of person. So I'd need to sort of show Gary, I'd need to sort of, you know, talk him through things. Okay, I can only see your nose and eyes, Harriet, so I can't really tell. But
in fairness, I've actually got a jumper on at the moment, so but okay. Kind of usually it's the top one.
Yeah, so there's things that you can do with that. So, and then once we've done all of that, then we should sort of follow up, keep the pressure on, get to a no. Okay, as a salesperson, you mustn't be afraid. A no is your best friend. I'd much rather have a no from somebody than I'll think about it, or I'll come back to you. I can't deal with that. That's just pointless. Yeah. I'd rather take you to a point where you say, actually, I'm not ready for that right now. That's fine. Great. Doesn't mean it's no, never. It's just a no, not now. So I'll take it as a no right now. Is it okay if I phone you in 3 months' time and see if the situation's changed? And if they don't, if they're not communicating with you, if they're not replying to calls, they're not coming back to you, they're too polite to tell you to piss off. That's all it is. So your effort is best spent on somebody else. Yeah, know when to leave your dead donkeys.
You're talking about exactly what we dealt with literally yesterday, Harriet, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah. Trying to follow up people on those leads with the
Oh
MBQs.
yes, yeah. Following up people that don't return your calls.
Yeah. And you can say, look, very politely, I haven't heard from you, so should I assume that you're no longer interested? They've got a chance to come back to you if they need to, but that's one of those bloody calls. So, they're no longer interested. Great, mark them off, put them back in the pot, keep in contact with them. They'll come back if they want to, and move on to somebody else. Okay, but the ones that you have in your pipeline, follow up. Don't just build a pipeline and not do anything with them. And this was a little thing I found a few years ago. Sales statistics. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. Only 25% make a second contact. Only 10% make more than 3 contacts. Yeah. It says 80% of sales on the 5th to the 12th contact. So most of the time we don't do enough work, but at some point you've got to sort of say, right, if I've got to 12 attempts, right, okay, move on. Okay, and you just have to make every sales process, every sales system is slightly different. You've just got to know when is the right time to keep going and when's the time to just cut your losses and move on. And I tend to cull my pipeline probably twice a year, because my normal pipeline can be sort of 3 months. So if it's gone 6 months, then chances are it's pretty cold, and I'll just pop it back in the pot again. But there's a few. There's some that have taken me. I think my longest was 6 years to close. Okay, it's not a great way to build a business with a 6-year pipeline, but I just every sort of 6 months I'll call you back. And I felt he needed help and he was worth pursuing. So how do you keep it going? Systems. Your sales should be a systemized approach, because at some point you're going to pass it on to somebody else. You're going to have multiple people doing it, and it's got to provide some accountability, not only for yourself but for people that you pass it on to. And the best way to do that really is just to map it out. Draw a sales process out. What are the stages? What are the stages in my process that build trust? What are the stages in my process that identify the need? How do I show how I help? And what do I do once I've been through that to ensure they go across the line? And then as you grow, you build on that process. You add bits to it. It changes. You know, in the old days, you know, we would send out DVDs. You know, in the old days, we'd send out a pack, you know, a big thing. Then we turned it to DVDs. Now it's an online video. So now it's an email with an online video. But sometimes in our process, it's still nice to send something tangible. So we still send, you know, I'll send a copy of my book, you know, as part of my trust building and need identification. Read that book, you know, because it will identify your need and hopefully it will build trust and rapport with me. So these things that are added over a period of time that are building on one of those 4 areas. And, you know, I would say you're mad in today's world if you are building a sales machine is not to have a CRM system. Okay, not to build something that tracks all of your leads, you know, ensures that you do the follow-up, means you can go back. You know, I had actually it was Rob Price range. So he came back and he'd actually come to see us 4 or 5 years ago. Right. And I had the notes back then of what he was doing and what our conversation was all about. So when I met him again, I said, oh, you know, how's this and what was that? I couldn't remember that. Yeah. But my CRM system allowed me to go back and then build trust up because, you know, I'd gone back 4 years to that engagement where we had that trust.
His office is above mine, FYI.
Oh, yeah. So that's, you know, yeah, and there's free ones, you know, things like HubSpot are free, you know, there's cheap ones like Zoho, and then you can go up to the big boys, you know, I use Salesforce and things like that. So, you know, there's so many. The hardest thing is finding one that fits. But to be honest, if you're starting, just start with one. It's better to have something than nothing. So if you can't, then even a spreadsheet will do. So, and this is just a little example of just the simplicity which you map it. So these are our stages. This is what we do. This is what gets sent out. So you just flow chart it or just write it on a whiteboard or, you know, on a piece of paper, mind map or something. So, and I know I said the words don't matter, but what you're looking for is consistency. So write the scripts down. Write, you know, when you take a call on, what do you say? How do you say it? Whether you use it or not to exact what's written down, it doesn't matter. What you're looking for is the essence of what you're saying. You know, it's like, you know, people say, oh, I don't like scripts and they don't work for me. But I said that if you go and watch a film and they don't keep to the script, how good is that film going to be? It's rubbish. You know, all films, all TV programs are scripted and they're enjoyable. You don't sit there and say, oh, that's a bit scripted, because the actors take their time to learn their lines. Yeah, and most people are in sales are lazy and they don't learn their lines. And when they do read it out, it's like, you know, robotic and not engaging. So, and that's why people have turned off. Okay, so be prepared to put the effort in to train yourself, to train people to actually, you know, to get it right. If you can script it, you can replicate it, you can improve it. If you don't have a script, yeah, then it's very difficult to, you're just making it up as you go along. So one day it'll be good, another day will be bad. Good. So I think we might be a little bit late, am I? Maybe a little bit, but any questions? Neil, have I answered your sort of goal for the session today?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it's pulling all these things together from other sessions, especially the marketing one. Obviously, you know, it's bringing that together.
Yeah. Okay. So, and the main thing you got out of today?
Personally, is I think it's knowing the customer, actually knowing how to communicate with the customer I mean, we do it, you know, relatively similar, obviously, with people who come to our training courses. When you're actually presenting with people in the classroom, you can enable them to learn in different ways by the person, how they come across to you. So I think the ways of communicating also, you can quickly judge that from the audience you've got. So I think we're quite clever at doing that. But and selling training and selling a knowledge, not selling knowledge as such, but selling this idea and this belief, and for them to obviously to learn an answer to a question they might be asked, for example, you know, is very similar to, I think, selling, you know, a product. You know, we're just doing it in a different way slightly.
Yeah. Cool. Good. Lee?
The thing for me that stuck out really was, the dominant calculating support or influencer table that you showed us. That's really helpful, because that's the starting point. I think first, if we don't know who we're selling to, what's the point of trying in the first place?
Yeah, cool. I would say we can do, they're not expensive disc profiles. So, if you want to disc the team, it's a good start to know what your profile is, and then use that when you're communicating with others. It's a good internal communication tool as well. So.
And that follow-up part that you've just mentioned right at the end, where you summarised there about the follow-up, and then that table of, you know, where the sales fail because we don't follow up. That's very helpful. Yeah.
Often I've always sort of said to people, you spend too much time kicking dead horses and not enough time following up the good ones.
Yeah.
You know, and all you're trying to do is, look, just get to a no. All I want is a no. You know, if no is a success, then you'll follow up more. Whereas most people are scared of the no, which is why they don't do it. So,
very true.
Cool. Harriet?
Definitely. I think it's the same thing for me. Is like, I think a lot of our customers, some you instantly get that vibe from because they're like you.
Yeah.
And then others you don't automatically connect with. So now I know why.
You know not to take it personally now.
Yeah. I know that not everyone is like you, so I know now what I can do differently to gauge better with them. And
I think certainly I've always found it's harder for a D&I to tone down than it is for a CS to tone up.
Yeah.
You know, CS is like you can get to actually increase their pace to fit with the DI. D&I seem to find it harder to slow down and accept that C's and S's take longer, you know, because you get frustrated, you know, bloody people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, cool, good. Dan, are you able to participate, or are you still on mute there? I assume Dan can't contribute. So Ranjit?
Yeah, so it was good to see some of the elements that I am doing in the selling process when I'm obviously sitting down with clients. But I think it's all about systemizing that process of selling and working the client closer towards the sale.
Yeah.
So that's what I've written, working towards the sale and just systemizing it a bit more. Because I'm in a lucky position where I'm actually able to sit there and take notes, and because it's a design service, so I'm sitting down with them, and then, you know, if I've got these prompts with me, I mean, I'm asking these kind of questions to actually systemize it a bit more, that then so that it flows as a it flows as a and is used as something that will help me sell. Then that's better.
The good thing for you is that one checklist.
Yeah.
So you have a pre-printed form or something. You say, right, in order for me to help you best, can we just go through this process?
Yeah, we definitely do some of that. You know, we're asking them about the actual need. You know, they come to us with the problem. Sorry, they think that they've got the solution, and we try and pull them right back towards the problem itself. So, you know, they'll say, you know, we want an extension. Well, actually, that's the solution. That's not the problem. Let's go right the way back, and it may well be that the extension is the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, but if yours, it goes back to the doctor situation. You know, you might come in and say, oh, I've got a headache, I need 3 tablets.
Yeah.
Could you prescribe them? Well, okay, let's just work through why you're getting a headache.
Yeah.
And then we'll see whether that's the right diagnosis for you.
Yeah.
And people will appreciate that. These you're going to have to be a bit quicker, but CVSs will like that. They'll get comfort in that. So,
yeah.
Cool. Gary?
I'm all right. Yeah, just been listening on. For me, sales, you kind of, when you gave me that little example and you questioned me on a few things, it's kind of, for me, it's just recognizing that I'm the one and only. So I've got to wear different hats. And actually, whilst listening to you, I've done a default diary for the week. I remember I tried it ages ago, but I've just, it's kind of organically grown into a certain routine that I do every week. And now I've got it on paper. So I'm actually going to print that, stick it on my wall, and I'm going to have it in my van as well, printed. But it's got on there a specific hour, because Monday's my admin day. So a specific hour just for sales and marketing. And so, because those are 2 areas I never really concentrate on.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what you said about, you'll be a busybody doing the things you actually like doing, and then you'll end up not having the time to do the other jobs that you didn't really want to do anyway. So it's kind of making sure that I factor those in, maybe even get them done first. That's the whole eat the frog thing, eat the frog thing again. And that's really stuck with me. So I like to get things in first, the things I don't want to do, get it over and done with, because then I can just sort of be free to do whatever I want to, sort of like, so the enjoyable stuff. So get the crap out the way first and then get on with the enjoyable stuff. But yeah, cool. Definitely have a slot for sales. That's a key thing.
Good. Excellent. So, you know, for me, home fun, measure your 5 ways and really set the goals. Identify your limiting beliefs around sales. You know, look at your DISC profile, you know, assess where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and put that sales process together. Even if it's just rough at this stage, have it down, but then think about, right, how do I improve it? How do I build more trust? How do I identify deeper emotional needs? How do I show how I can help quickly and easily? So, and then make it happen. So, been great having you on the call, guys. Thanks for your interaction. And I'd say I have recorded this, so it will be available when I send out the email next week. And so if you do want to go and sort of look at it again, and but say keep learning. You know, it is a skill that you just got to keep on working on, and it is enjoyable. You know, you're there to help people at the end of the day. The more sales you do, the more people you help. So enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you, Kevin.